Hey guys, I just got back from traveling to New York to film content for my traveling channel. And I just walked into my arcade and I discovered that the folks over at Arcade 1UP has sent me 2 new machines for review. That's right, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles machine is here, as is the Marvel Superheroes machine, with some great game selections and some great cabinets. And I think these are a really big improvement over previous issues. So let's get into the details. This is my review of both machines. I mean, obviously, when it comes to game selection, these are 2 really incredible games. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time is available on the TMNT one. Then the Marvel Capcom machine has Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, and The Punisher. So, I mean, it's no Marvel vs. Capcom, but these are some of the original games in that series, and they are absolutely fantastic. Here's the best feature so far, I think. It's the new volume controls. Instead of having like an built-in speaker like the other machines here do, this has got separate speakers, and as a result, this new speaker technology allows them to allow volume control. So if you have one of these other machines, you may probably know by now that they can either be very too soft or too loud when you're playing games. This allows you to adjust the volume, and that's just a huge life improvement. If you guys remember my complaints about the Rampage machine, I said that obviously this is a very small, closed-in space. It was basically impossible for 3 players to play it. Barely 2 could play it. But that's not a problem with the TMNT2 setup. It's actually about the size of an actual arcade setup. I mean, there's enough room here for me to comfortably be able to stand and play while a couple of other friends. Again, I think I would be uncomfortable with 4 players, but 3 certainly I think would work. And 2 is just a joy. It's so easy to play that way. I mean, take a look at how much space I'm taking up, and keep in mind, I'm a fairly big guy, so if I'm playing here at blue, I feel like there's definitely plenty of space for somebody at purple or red, but I feel like if I stand about here, I can still easily see the screen, and I'm going to be able to put 4 people on this machine. So that's another huge, huge improvement. Another huge improvement, I want you to hear the clickiness of this particular joystick. It is considerably better than any other joystick they have put on any of these machines. So the buttons about the same. I'm not really noticing a big difference there, but immediately on using this controller, I feel like it's 10 times better than previous controllers. And I'm going to say that I really wish they had this exact controller on the Mortal Kombat and the Street Fighter machines, because it feels so much better. I'm sure it probably cost them a little bit to improve it, but I'm really glad they did, because it feels right. It just feels good. Now when it comes to the screen is about the same. Again, it's not going to really show up very well on camera. You need to see these in real life. They're very bright, very vibrant colors, and it looks really, really good. As for the games itself, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time. If you've ever played those games, these seem to be very decent reproductions, emulations of these games. Though your mileage may vary, though. I do highly recommend you look at other reviews, because I've only spent about an hour playing each of these machines so far. I haven't completed both games, but I feel like this is a very, very decent port. The experience is pretty much what I experience when I go to my local arcade, Arcadia Retrocade, and play the Restore machine there. So, yeah, this is a good purchase. When it comes to the cabinet itself, this is actually really cool. The machine comes with its own riser, and in this case, the riser is specialized to have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle graphics all over it. As you can see, the other ones I have just say Arcade 1UP, but this one, nope. Turtles all the way from the bottom to the very top. I mean, the graphics, the marquee, everything is exactly the way you would want it to be. I mean, this is a much better machine. If you compare this machine to any of the others, especially Rampage, or especially Asteroids or Centipede, I'm sorry, this thing looks like a piece of junk compared to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones. Sorry, Asteroids, but you are. Let's just call it the way it is. Now, taking a look at the Marvel machine, let me say once again, these buttons are good, and this joystick is a vast improvement over other fighting game joysticks as well. So again, this has translated over with this new generation of arcade 1-ups to have a very, very good improvement when it comes to the joysticks. I personally hope they do reissues of the older machines with these new configurations because I would love to have that. Please do that. But taking a look at this joystick, nice and clicky, nice and responsive, really good for a fighting game. The buttons, pretty much the same. But to show you what I'm talking about, when it comes to the Mortal Kombat machine, it's got some click to it, but it's just not, I don't know, it feels looser, it feels not as tight, not as responsive, and a lot of the times I'm playing the Mortal Kombat machine, I feel like I should be doing one move when I'm not, I feel like I'm jumping when I shouldn't be. That has not been a problem on either of these other machines. As for game choice, we got Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, and The Punisher. I wish there had been more games in here. I really do like the side-scrolling beat-em-ups that Capcom made, specifically The Punisher. It's a really solid game. As for the two fighting entries here, Marvel Superheroes and Children of the Atom, X-Men, both very, very good choices as well. I remember playing these games at arcades and absolutely loving them, thinking they'd taken the Street Fighter formula to a whole brand new level, where you can play stuff like Juggernaut and Sentinel and Shogorath, and I've just spent the last couple of hours sitting down playing this game and just loving it. It's such a very solid reproduction. All right, now that I've said a bunch of positive things, let's see what's kind of negative. First off, when it comes to Turtles, do you see how wide this controller scheme setup is? Obviously, this is going to take up considerably more space. I ended up having to give up this side of the house in the arcade here because I had to put them somewhere, and they definitely will not fit in a nice tight line like this. So again, one of the biggest issues you're going to have with arcade 1-ups is if you don't have a lot of room in your house, you're not going to be able to fit very many machines, maybe even just one, and Turtles takes up extra space because of the extra controllers. It's worth it though if you're a fan. It really is. The Marvel cabinet, honestly, no real complaints there. It's the size of a normal machine. I do wish it had a specialized riser and shipped with a riser as well, but it didn't. The graphics, the case itself, I mean, it's a very decent reproduction. Again, looks very good, and the actual games itself play exactly the way I remember them. So, no complaints here on either of these machines, other than just the space issue. And of course, then we have to talk about price. So taking a look at online prices here, Walmart has the TMNT 2 set up for $399. Now, most of these other machines retailed for $300, and in some cases you could find them as cheap as $250 or even $200 on sale during the Christmas season at Walmart. That was a fairly good price for these machines, but they also didn't come with a riser, specifically a better set of keyboards and controls, and specifically a riser with its own exclusive art. So the extra $100 here gets you the riser, which I think is normally $30 or maybe $50 in Walmart, with the exclusive art, and then all of the improvements on the machine. So I think $400 is a decent price point for collectors, but again, you're going to have to be a heck of a collector because it just plays 2 games. That's kind of frustrating. Now, if you were going to mod one of these cases, I think the Turtle one is a really good one to look at. If you're going to throw a Raspberry Pi into one and you want to play 4-player games, this would be a really, really good one to purchase because I feel like the controls are fantastic. I feel like the art is fantastic. It's got 4-player controls that you're going to actually sit down and use. So it's probably worth the buy, at least in that respect. But if you're a huge Turtles fan and you want it just for those 2 games, is $400 worth the price to you? I don't think it would have been for me. I'm glad I got a review copy so that I own it, but $400 is a lot of money. You might want to try to find a promo code or discount if you want to collect something like this. You can get an Xbox for that price. The Marvel machine, on the other hand, is selling for $299 at Walmart, and that's much more affordable. Again, it does have the improved controls and the improved sound as well, so it's at the original price point. The only thing you're not really getting is the extra wide controller deck, and you're not getting a riser built in with specialized graphics. So I feel like this is a really good purchase. It's not going to be as collectible or as desirable as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones, and honestly, if I had to choose between the two, I would go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. but I feel like there's a better value to be had in the Marvel game, especially if you're a fan of those particular fighting games. And here's the thing, when it comes to the fighting game variants for the arcade one-ups, I feel like those are always a better value. When it comes to games like Turtles, that's a quarter muncher, and as long as you have an infinite number of quarters to put in, there's really not that much challenge to it. But when it comes to the fighting games, they're designed to be quarter munchers as well, but they're also very skill related. So I feel like if you're going to come back and play a game over and over again, I always prefer something like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or, you know, the Marvel Capcom series of fighting games. Punisher is also in here too, though, if you want a side-scrolling beat-em-up quarter munching adventure. So that's available to you as well. All right, so let's take one last look at my arcade selection. You'll notice there are a few arcade one-up games I'm not currently sporting. I don't have the Space Invader ones. I did get that one, but it did get destroyed for a video, as well as the golf tee-up one. I never purchased it because I'm not interested necessarily in the golfing games, but I'm hoping to have an almost complete collection. And I have to say, this is just one of my prides and joys. I keep thinking about rearranging my YouTube studio to put these in the background because I love them so much. It is just a nice little collection to have, and I do come in here and play a couple times a week. I end up playing mostly Pac-Man. If I'm being honest with you, I'm playing mostly Pac-Man. But I do plan to spend quite a bit of time with Turtles as well. All right, guys, let me say once again, thank you to the folks over at Arcade 1-Up for sending me all of these machines, specifically the two new ones for review. I know in the past I've given some of the machines very bad reviews, so I hope that you guys understand that you can trust me when it comes to these. Some of the machines are very, very good. Some of the machines are very, very bad. I still recommend staying away from the Asteroids machine until they get a reissue or something later on in the future. But when it comes to these newer machines, they've learned from the previous experiences, they've improved on the formula, and they've really improved the quality of life and quality of the machines. I'm really happy. I think they're definitely on the right track to producing just some incredible reproductions. Now let me know if you agree with me down in the comment section below, because that's just one man's opinion. I could be wrong. Do me a favor, while you're down there, drop a like on this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe, and if you want to see videos like this in the future, hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as the video goes live. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.